While a female cop was borrowing a resident's restroom, she noticed a strange red liquid on the floor. Her instincts told her it might be blood, but considering the homeowner was a girl, she figured it could be something normal, like menstrual blood. So she didn't think much of it and decided to wash her hands and leave. But just then, the soap slipped from her hands. As she bent down to pick it up, she realized there was way more blood than she initially thought. Being a woman, she knew this wasn't just from a period. Following the trail, she pulled back the curtain and was horrified to find a bloody corpse, a hacksaw resting near the legs. Clearly, the killer hadn't finished the job. Just as she was processing this, the homeowner suddenly appeared behind her and stabbed her hand with a knife. The next second, the knife was pulled out and plunged into her abdomen. Thankfully, the cop's training kicked in, and she grabbed the blade, preventing a fatal wound. But as she crawled forward, bracing against the blade, she forgot about the soap on the floor. She slipped and fell, and that was the end of her. Seeing the cop motionless on the floor, the woman took the opportunity to grab her gun, but the danger wasn't over yet. Patrol officers usually work in pairs, and if this cop was using the restroom, it meant her partner was likely waiting outside. The woman, trying to stay calm, walked out and handed the older cop a drink, saying the female cop was having stomach issues and needed more time. She then casually asked if anyone else knew where they were. Hearing this, the older cop's face changed. He knew it wasn't normal for a regular resident to ask such a weird question, but it was too late. The woman had already made up her mind to kill. Just then, they heard a groan from inside. It was the female cop. She wasn't dead yet and was crawling toward them. The older cop, instead of apprehending the woman, rushed to check on his partner. It wasn't until he looked up that he realized this pretty woman in front of him was probably the killer. The woman fired the gun, but to her surprise, the first shot was a blank, something set to prevent accidental discharge. The cop knew this, but he still missed his chance to react. He was shot and fell to the ground. After taking care of both cops, the woman returned inside. Looking at her best friend's body, she felt an overwhelming sense of relief. All of this started because she was jealous of her friend's figure. That jealousy grew into a murderous intent. One night, while her friend was taking a shower, she snuck a peek at her phone, only to find messages full of complaints about her. Angry, they had a heated argument that night. The woman, furious, started stabbing the dishes in the sink with a knife. Then she drank heavily, trying to numb herself. But when she woke up, she found her friend lying on the floor, knives stuck all over her body. Terrified, she called her manager, the only person she trusted. But after hearing the story, the manager didn't think she had killed her friend. There was a shard of glass stuck in the bottom of the corpse's foot, likely from when the woman smashed a dish earlier. Her friend probably stepped on it, lost her balance, and knocked over the knives, which ended up stabbing her to death. On the way over, the manager called the woman, telling her to dispose of the body because no one would believe the story. After a long internal struggle, the woman decided to dismember her friend's body. But then, the cops unexpectedly showed up, ruining her plans and leading to this tragedy. Now, the woman was on the brink of a breakdown. Suddenly, the lights in the house went out. She stood up and looked around. She had always believed her friend's death wasn't an accident, and now she was sure there was a third person involved. Then, she noticed a pair of feet under the curtains, but when she pulled them back, it was just shoes. Someone appeared behind her, and she fired the gun instinctively. But when she got closer, she realized it was her manager who had just arrived. At this point, she completely lost it, descending into madness. She was now living a life worse than death. Thinking back, if only she hadn't been so jealous of her friend's looks, none of this would have happened. Jealousy truly can turn someone into a monster.